I'm Adam.
I'm Keith, and this is Unfiltered Founders. And we're almost out of beer.
We are. Time for another one.
I'm Keith.
I'm Adam.
And this is Christine Piper. Welcome to Unfiltered Founders.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, you got to sip it. Yeah.
I thought he was splitting the G. That's why, because you were splitting the G.
Splitting the G.
And
So why don't we open with that?
Because you're not supposed to. You have to do it in one sip. So
Well, you overfilled my beer.
now we can start from here.
So, all right. So why don't we we'll
What am I
start
doing?
We'll start the episode there.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to start the episode now.
Now, all right, on what does it mean to split the G?
So we're talking.
First question.
Yes. So we're talking marketing things. So this is a marketing trend right now, a big trend on social media where people are what they're calling splitting the G. So it's the line right here on the G of the Guinness, where in your first sip, you have to get it as your first drink. You have to get it as close as landing on the G, and it's called Split the G. And now there's even a point where there's an app that they're rating how good you've done splitting the G. There's bars that are like, if you split the G, you get a discount.
Any tips for a newbie to this?
I mean, it's probably more than you think. A lot of people in their first try fall short. So let's see.
I would only do this for you.
Well, thanks.
And you.
Nope. See?
I did. I fell short.
Yep. They fall because
Crazy.
You think you're really like, oh, that's a lot. I've got to be there, and then
Here's what happened. My mouth filled up. Like, I need a bigger.
Bigger gulp.
Oh, I didn't know that was. I didn't know I could swallow and drink it.
Oh,
I feel
man.
like it should be in one. It should be one drink,
Like a
one
chug.
swallow,
like a chug.
Yeah.
one swallow to split the G. That's the challenge.
Perfect.
Anyway, that's
Perfect
as close as I
intro.
can.
Yes.
Perfect intro to Unfiltered Founders
so
here.
marketing.
Yes.
This is what's brought us together today.
is.
So I think to that point, I've obviously known you for a long time.
Since you were a teenager.
Yes. Yeah. Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Did he have hair back then?
You did, from what I remember.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Yes.
I'm here to help.
Yes,
We're
absolutely.
growing out of this. Is going to be a week.
Yes. Yeah. That's
great.
amazing. So I think before we even get into the marketing, I do think that your backstory matters because you actually are a founder, right? And so you were in radio advertising for a long time, and then you took a significant leap, which seems to be a theme between you and your husband here. Which he took a leap from sales, and now obviously with you purchased Porters and is running Porters, but you're still running Maverick Media,
Correct.
Which is a small boutique marketing agency here in Easton.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about that leap, going from being in radio and sales and radio and advertising radio to starting Maverick.
Yeah. So radio, 10 years. I had a pretty successful career there. And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy that, but what I was finding working with my clients is that more and more of them were asking me more questions about all the pieces of their marketing. So they were, you kind of build rapport and trust with your clients, and they were like, hey, I know you don't sell this, but what do you think of this? And so as that was happening, I kind of started to feel like, well, I could maybe do this as a small agency and help them with all those things and do the plans and, get paid for all the advice I'm giving in a sense, So, so I, luckily one of my clients actually said to me, if you want to do this, I'll back you and I'll be your first client. Like, he was really super supportive of me doing that. And he's like, I'll even go and partner with you. And, this way you kind of have a mentor, somebody that can help you kind of along the way, which was probably made it a little easier to take the leap to do it yourself, But yeah, so that's kind of where I landed. And now, I'm 5.5 years in on Maverick. So yeah.
Awesome.
So we've worked together on marketing projects together. How much of a help does it have to have that mentor when you're just getting started? Somebody you can go to with questions, who can help you bridge, gaps in your knowledge.
I mean, it's priceless, really, because you have to have one that will just be honest. Like they have to not be willing. They have to be willing to hurt your feelings in a sense. So,
Always willing to hurt my feelings.
In a good way, though. In a very good way.
That's why I got positioned in the middle. I take it there.
No, but in a good way. But it's very it's good to know, like, you have someone that I can say, hey, I'm thinking about this, and it's crazy or not crazy, and often giving you the autonomy to fail too. Like, hey, I don't know if I would do it, but it's ultimately your decision. He gave me a lot of that kind of advice, like, hey, I might not, but this is your chance to try it, and if you fail forward and figure it out from there. So
I love that you bring that up, because we this is one of the topics that Keith and I have been talking about, failing forward, or framing it not as a failure, but thinking about it as wins and losses.
Right.
Right. When you think about some of the difficulties, some of the losses,
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the key things that you brought forward from that?
Yeah, I think one thing for me was we scaled pretty quickly, like right out of the gate. I had more employees than I thought I would right out of the gate. And I think, although that was great, it was a little bit of a failure because the infrastructure, we really weren't ready for that. And so we had taken on a lot. And then what happens if one of them leaves? Then now I have all of this that I'm trying to manage myself, because it's still a small agency. So I think, you're always going to do you're going to do right things and wrong things, like you said, right? So when you do those things that are wrong, I feel like taking whatever piece of that's going to make you better and just keep building that to your business, versus letting it anchor you as, oh, I really fucked up,
Yeah.
Anchor is a really good word.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think anchor is a really good word. Talk a little bit just in terms of those challenges, right? So you're incredibly good, right? You were incredibly good, actually exceptional. You probably sell yourself short a little bit when you were you're exceptional now, but you were exceptional at your job before you made the leap to Maverick, right? And that experience obviously led to core proficiencies in running Maverick. What were some of the unexpected things that you ran into from just being a business owner? You went from working for a pretty large, corporation, mm-hmm. to now I'm running a small business. What did that feel like, and how was that, learning all of that?
Right. So I think in working in my radio career, my job was to go out, essentially sell air, get people to buy air. And I just worked on cultivating those relationships and making sure their copy was right and helping manage all of that. That's all I had to worry about. And which I think led to the success, because I was there, that's it, right? And just kind of build my personal brand of, hey, getting referrals and people trust me and that kind of thing. But then when you go to your business, then all of a sudden I'm not just cultivating the relationships with the clients. Now I'm worrying about the P&L. I'm worrying about cost of goods, and I'm worried about how much should I rent this spot or this spot, and how much it's going to cost me a month, and so of course your mind goes to a million other things on a daily basis, where before I was like, oh, this is my call list today, I'm making sure I call in all these people today, and I'm checking in on these people, where now it's like, okay, I'm checking in on my employees, I'm checking the bank account, I'm checking, so
how did you settle that chaos for yourself?
So one great thing is that, I went to my partner, and he kind of helped me kind of divide what things I should focus on. And then helped me delegate those things to other people. And then it came to me when it needed to come to me. So then I was able to focus on more building the business versus working so much inside the business.
So you got yourself back to your passion. You found
Right.
you found a path eventually, right, back to what your core proficiency, your core passion
Correct.
was.
So as a creative person,
Yes.
which that's one of the things that we've bonded on.
Yes.
As a creative person, when I talk about writing, there's two types of writers. There's plotters and pantsers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Keith is what I would consider a plotter. He has 50-minute blocks for his day. He probably color codes them.
Mm-hmm.
He probably adds notes, and like his day looks like a rainbow of these are my activities. My day is a little more ephemeral.
Yeah.
All right. Now I have recently started to try to see things again. I'm trying to learn like Keith methods. Like there's never one true way to do it.
No, there's not.
Right.
So I think there's really good benefits to doing the way that he does it. I'm just not good at that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what was your method of doing things, and how has that changed?
So I would say that I'm more in line with you. Like I'm not a person that's going to ever color code my calendar or do time blocks, which I wish I could. And I think that's a characteristic that I envy of Keith's, to be honest, because I really wish I could be that organized, but my brain just doesn't work in that way. And I don't think it ever did. And even with working in radio, I don't think that's really changed much for me, except for that I have other things that I have to check on versus, and it's not like every day I'm like, oh, today is P&L day, or today, like that just, it's like, oh shit, I forgot I had to check on that today. You know what I mean? But luckily I've surrounded myself with people that are opposite of me so that they keep me in my lane.
Mm-hmm.
See that?
You know?
See that? Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's amazing how opening yourself up
mm-hmm.
can allow you to accept those kind of things.
Right.
Look, we all have limitations,
Right.
right? Our limitations are, it's easier for me to do what I do if the world is open. It's my oyster. I can do whatever I want today, and I can think creatively, and I can come up with genius ideas, right? But sometimes we need to be grounded. So having that other person, that person who's like, all right, look, we're going to meet at 1:30.
Right. Yeah.
becomes something, and look, it doesn't mean we can't do that.
Right.
It's just not something that we're innately good at,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not how we visualize things.
Correct. I think too, as people in general, but as a business owner, especially as an entrepreneur, you have to be okay with recognizing what you're not good at, and you have to be okay with finding the people that can fill those holes for you. And I think, for me, I don't know, have you ever heard of the predictive index test? Okay, so I took that, and I actually, and it points glaringly out what you're not good at, and I was like,
let's explain just for a second the predictive index.
So it kind of characterizes your personality, is kind of what you would test as. So like I tested as a Maverick, hence Maverick Media. So which is a big picture thinker, looking the overview, not good at the details. But like there are some times when I am good at the details because I have to be. With marketing campaigns, you have to pay attention to those things. But what made me very self-aware of the things that I were not great at, and kind of pointed it out, so that now, I'm always in a state of self-development, knowing like, hey, I know I'm not good at that, and I have to work harder to make sure I don't mess that up, because I know that that's something that I can fall short on. So kind of being very self-aware of knowing what you're good at and what you're not good at, and being okay with both, and if you can't find somebody to help you, then be aware that it's going to take you longer to get that done, probably because it's not your easy task.
You can't avoid it though.
Correct.
Right. There's no avoiding it.
There's never avoiding, but it's going to take you longer. So you're going to have to prepare for that, regardless of, however that is for you. But, I know that if I'm going to work on A, and that usually takes me 20, 30 minutes. I try to do those things early in the day just to know that I'm done and I've moved on, because I know it's going to take me longer.
And that's one of those scheduling things, right? Like
Yeah.
you start with the crappy things,
Yeah.
and then go to the good thing. Do I have that right?
No, I mean, you have that right, and I think that for me, I mean, there's just certain stuff that's going to be easier to do when it's quiet,
Right.
and I know. So I'm an early riser, as you know.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons for that is because I'm involved with so many people in so many different projects, and it's really easy to get taken away. And so I know that nobody's going to call me at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Like, my phone's not going to ring.
Right,
I'm not going to get those right. So I can get a lot of that stuff done. But that goes back to the grind. Like, for me, I know that for me to do what I have to do, I have to be able to set that time aside. That time's not going to exist at 10 a.m. or noon or 3.
Right.
That time for me is going to exist early. And so I've chosen to run my life that way. I will say, from a time block perspective, like, I wasn't always that way, to be honest with you. And when I went to college in particular, I was an okay student, not a great student. But I learned time blocking skills in college because I almost failed out.
Okay.
And so part of staying in college was it was called the College Restoration Program. And it was a time blocking class. Like, that's all it was. And so actually, like, a lot of that, I think part of where I still reside is that I came so close to failure that skill set became something that really resonated with me that I didn't even know existed necessarily. I still had to have somebody teach it to me.
Right.
Somebody had to still step up and teach me that skill set, and then I was able to translate it, and now I thrive on it, right? It was something that I learned on the brink of a failure, on the brink of really being in a pretty bad spot, that I was like, oh shit, like this makes sense. Like, I can follow this, and if I follow it, I can be really successful. And then as I started finding success for myself, it was like, oh, well, now I'm in business. If I follow this, right, I can be, and it's translated itself across all areas of my life, to the point that everybody that interacts with me knows that, I'm a pretty failing, but it is. It's a failing forward.
Exactly.
It's a failing forward, perspective. But I didn't necessarily. I don't think to that point that everybody's a natural in terms of organizing themselves. Like, you talked about how your brains work. Like, I don't know if my brain necessarily worked that way.
Right.
A lot of it was the result of, I had a no fuck moment.
Right, but it goes to the point of recognizing that you needed help there, and now you use the tool that you were given to make your life easier and to better manage all the things you have going on.
You could have ignored that.
Correct.
Right? And so I was the opposite. I was terrible at high school because, I mean, I'm an artistic person. Like, in high school, you have to take high school classes.
Yeah.
My senior year, I took all art classes. My GPA went from 1.7 to 2.5 in 1 year.
Yeah.
And that's with 3 years of fucking up high school.
Yeah.
So, because I could take all classes that I was passionate about, right? And we talk about passion for, like, what we do, right? And when I went to college to be creative, right? And it wasn't just art, it was just to be creative, right? So it was light design, costume, like all these things that I could be passionate about. So when you got into Maverick, was that you were passionate about it, or did you develop a passion?
Was it the epiphany? Like you said that, like, people were asking you for advice. Was it that epiphany, or you had to have that underlying passion?
Like, I'm already giving this advice, or was it like, this makes me happy, and now there's a path to make money doing something that already makes me happy.
Right. So I think one thing, as entrepreneurs think about starting businesses, money should never be their why. Because ultimately, if they go in and say, I want to do this because of the money, it's probably not going to work out.
It's marketing speak. The why.
The why.
The why.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it really shouldn't be your reason, because what you do and your passion and the real reason you do it, the money should come as a result, because you are doing what you want to do and you're doing it because you love doing it. And yeah, I think ultimately for me, like, just by nature, I'm a fixer and I want to fix things. And so a lot of times people's marketing need fixing. So for me, it was a way for me to help people solve a problem that I enjoy trying to fix. So it works for me, you know, and ultimately I just try to leave people better than I found them. That's it, you know? And so that sort of helps in the sense that if you do the right thing, and you don't have to be right, but do the right thing. And if you ultimately do the right thing for your clients, they'll be loyal to you and the money will come, you know?
So on that note, because one of the questions that we highlighted that we wanted to ask you, we did do some prep.
Some prep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to let our audience know, Christine did a lot
of prep. A lot of prep.
But that's what.
But we're gonna throw some curveballs. But I think this one was one that we wanted to get out, right? So you just talked about, you know, you try to leave them better. You specialize, frankly, in small businesses.
Right, correct.
Right, and marketing for small businesses. Mm-hmm. When you get to a small business and they come to you, what are some of the things that you would advise or that you wish they had done prior to getting to you? They're coming to you because they need you. Right. But that being said, even though you're on the smaller side, not everybody can afford that initial marketing, right? Sure. Small business, I'm starting out, I can't afford marketing, I have to do it myself because we all wear all those hats, right? What are some things that you would tell a small business owner?
The intro steps.
The intro steps.
When they do come to you, they already have, like, again, we want to prepare them so that when they come to you, you're not going back and doing this part for them, right? Like,
you're not backtracking.
What do they need to?
I think the first thing that everybody has to remember, the days of opening a business and having that, if we build it, they will come mentality is gone. You can't just start something and think people are going to care about what you're doing. You have to make yourself relevant to them. And I think what a lot of business owners make a mistake right at the beginning is they think they need to be all things to everybody and they want to go to everybody and they want everybody to know who they are. The first thing you can do for yourself and really like do this favor is really understand who your market is. Who are you? Who did you start this for? Who do you want to serve? And just focus on those people and get a website. I don't care if you do it yourself on Square, Wix, whatever the case may be, but have some sort of digital presence. And then you can always fix it as you move forward. But people have to be able to find you. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. You know, social media is a free tool that you can use to promote your business. You don't have to buy ads. You don't have to do any of those things. But don't just post to post either. Like, think about who are you trying to engage, you know, and stay in that lane and be consistent with your message, be authentic with your message, and it will resonate with people because ultimately you're doing something for somebody out there and they're going to feel that, you know?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we'll tap into this a little bit, right? So social media is a free tool. Mm-hmm. It's also the tool that is probably most accessible to everybody at this point, right? With the smartphones and everything else.
But it's also a tool that's least understood.
Right.
So social media exists, but understanding how to use it well can be difficult. And I want to point out, like, where Christine started is if you know your customer. Right. So again, we're sitting in here, and we sat down. We talked to Ryan about there's no TVs, right?
There's fucking awesome spot, by the way, for everybody out there. Like, it really is a great spot.
There's no TVs, and it's knowing the customer and knowing that even if what the customer is telling you is counterintuitive to everything you think. Mm-hmm. Your customer is the one who's going to be spending money in your business, right? Yeah. And then you need to see, okay, are there enough of that customer to support me?
Yeah.
Right? And if there are enough of that customer to support me, then it makes building those social media tools easier. So doing that background first and really understanding your customer, knowing what they want, how to approach them in a way that makes them want your product or business or whatever, really positions you well.
Yeah, and I was going to get into where I was going to go with this is in terms of advice, right, on the social media front, not just posting to post, right, knowing because to Adam's point, you just start throwing shit out there. talk a little bit about, we talk about 3 pillars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about from social media being a free tool that's out there,
Yeah.
right? How should a small business owner who's just starting, how do they target those 2 or 3 pillars that they're going to post around, or what are pillars, and then how do they target them?
So I think I think the other mistake that new businesses make is they think they have to post on all the platforms,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think pick 1 or 2 and really understand those 2 platforms. And there's so much free information out there that if you just took, a couple hours and read some basic blogs or some basic things, you would have a much better sense of which social media platform is for your business,
Mm-hmm.
even just based on target. Like if I'm targeting a 45 plus adult, then my playground's gonna be Facebook, without a doubt. I'm gonna stay in that realm and make sure that I'm there. If I'm trying to target teens, then I'm gonna probably look at TikTok, although it's changing. But you know what I'm saying? Like, so there's just
so in our community, hatchandground.com, there is some basics that kind of define, like, why would you use TikTok over
Right.
Facebook,
Perfect.
over Instagram? So
That's great.
That exists.
And they're not the same. They're very different platforms.
Different.
Yeah,
Very different.
And then what's the frequency? So like people need to understand that. So like
Yeah.
Facebook versus TikTok.
Right.
TikTok is
I mean, you almost can't post enough on TikTok, to be
right.
honest.
Whereas
it's too
Facebook
much.
you can get away with 1 to
Right, 2 posts a day. You don't even have to go that much. You can get away with 4 to 5 posts a week, and just But the key is to try to engage the audience, right? Like, just don't say I'm selling Guinness and post a picture.
Right.
It's like, hey, have you had a Guinness? Or try to make it more engaging. And the other thing
Have
too.
you tried to split the cheese?
Right.
split the G.
Right. So you know what I'm saying?
Yet?
Like it's also making sure that you are engaging the people that you're going after. And social media is about building community. So I think where a lot of people miss is someone makes a comment and they just hit the like button and they don't respond. Those are opportunities for you to respond, like, hey, thanks for coming in, or oh yeah, we love that too, or whatever the case may be, because now also Facebook is, and I go down a rabbit hole, but now Facebook's saying, oh look, they're engaging because we're trying to build community, and that's what they're doing.
Yep.
So
isn't building community the purpose of your business? Like
Correct.
that, for you to be successful, people need to be passionate about your business.
right.
I don't care if it's a clothing brand, a beverage, a bar, or a coaching service.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If people aren't interested and passionate about it and want to be part of that community, you're not going to have the success that you want, right? So those community things that you're talking about become even more important.
Well, yeah, and to that point, right? So I mean, I know, again, I think where I sit on this, but would you rather have 100 followers and 0 engagement, or 10 followers and 100% engagement? And which one? And
Right.
I think, first you're like, oh, I want 100 followers, but in all reality, you want 10 followers with 100% engagement. These are 10 people that are fully engaged in your business. They're fully engaged in what you're doing, right? They're part of it. And it may be a slow build, but there is no, as we said, there is no quick business, right? And so it may be a slow build, but when you have those 10 that are fully engaged, they're far more valuable than the 100 that just hit the like button once.
Exactly.
And they're never actually spending money with you, right?
And to your point, I think that's a good lesson for new business owners is pay attention to your first fans. Pay attention to the people that engage with you right away. Like you said, to your point, I would rather have those 10 people talking about my business, right? Word of mouth is the best form of advertising we can get. So whether that's word of mouth by sharing my post or actually sitting and telling somebody next to you that, Keith just started a entrepreneur coaching. He, you should hit him up, check it out.
Share, subscribe,
right.
Follow.
But even beyond that, there's still some social, in person word of mouth that happens that I think is important too, because you want people to talk about your business, not just post about it or whatever, but it is really, like you said, those 10 people are more valuable to you. And you can learn a lot from those 10 people, because you can say, well, what do they like? What are they, how old are they? What are they looking at? What's their lifestyle? Oh, so those might be my people. Like, let me start looking for more like those 10 people, and let me just find one more and another one and another one, and just keep building off of that. Versus, again, you can't be everything to everybody, and you shouldn't try to market to everybody. And you really, like, you know, I think some businesses make mistakes, even small businesses, is they want to, you know, run all these ads, or they want to run, you know, I had people when I was working radio come to me and say, I have $2,000 and I want to run a radio campaign. And I would be like, I'm not going to take your money, because it's not going to work. And you're going to hit a quick blanket of people and everyone's going to forget. And so when you have this, then let's talk about it. In the meantime, do these things, you know?
Yep.
So
that brings us to a good point. Keith usually asks this question, so I will. So we're really looking to target people who are either just thinking about starting a business, or thinking about buying a business, or whatever their path is. What is your one piece of advice that's, look, if you do this, it positions you well to find success?
from a marketing standpoint.
Well, your husband's would stay calm. So yeah, you can't use that. Yeah, that's off limits.
But this is marketing.
Yeah.
There's nothing calm about
there is
marketing.
nothing
That
calm
doesn't
about
exist in our world.
it.
Like, how do we ramp shit up? How do we make people go, fuck yeah?
Right? I mean, I know, so everybody wants to be top of mind, right? They just want to keep that top of mind of your business. But I mean, I think the one thing I would say is stay present. Like, even if your post got no likes, don't give up. You know, keep post again and maybe change it. But like, don't take your marketing budget and put it in pencil and erase it. Like, that's a big mistake people make. They allocate money for marketing, and then they're like, oh no, I gotta move this, and they erase it. You know, it's like, whatever you're allocating, stay to that course, and it takes time, right? It's definitely not a sprint. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and you've got to be patient and build up who your business is, and you know who your people are, and who's gonna engage with you, and you know, don't get discouraged by, you know, I only got one follower this week, or I only, you know, but stay present, keep doing it, keep posting, you know, just don't be like, I've seen so many businesses like, well, I haven't posted on my Instagram or my Facebook in 3 years. Great.
Yep.
Perfect.
Adam.
Perfect. And I'm not even talking about your personal. I'm talking about your business.
I'm building,
you know?
my business is me, and I haven't posted in a long time. But we're getting there.
But let me just give a little of this like sort of trick for some entrepreneurs that I get. There's only so many hours in the day. There are planning softwares. Even Meta has a built-in planning software for free that you can use. So taking, you know, an hour a week and just plan out your social media, and then you don't have to think about it. And this way you're like, oh, I had to post today, I didn't post today. And honestly, I know AI is a whole thing, you know, whatever, but you literally can go to ChatGPT and say, help me plan my social media calendar for this month. I need to target A, B, and C, put it in a chart form, and it'll spit it out. And now I wouldn't advise taking it word for word and doing exactly but I would say
but it'll give you a starting point, right?
From not having a blank piece of paper when you're like, I don't know what to post. What should I say? What hashtag should I use? You know, it just gives you, it'll help you kind of, you know, oh yeah, I could do that. So let me change this. But really, there's no excuse to not be able to use those tools and be able to have some sort of presence online and be able to do it free.
If you have questions about that, if you're a member of our community, jump into the community, ask us. We have resources for using things like ChatGPT there. But if you don't see what you're looking for, that's the place to ask us. We will be responsive. We will give you that information. And that's what it is. Like, again, hatchingaround.com is a community. It's a group of people who are trying to help each other succeed. And that's really what brought us together, Christine and I, is we want each other to succeed. We want each other to be happy and successful. And we're going to carry that forward. And
I think an important thing is, and where we are in Easton, this community is unlike any other, where really we treat each other as colleagues, not competitors. And it's very much to what you say. Like, I'm lucky that I have other people in my life outside of this community that I do treat as colleagues, not as competitors or even mentors, where, I think when business owners stop and kind of get out of their own way, like, oh, that restaurant is my competitor. Well, not really. How can we work together? And I think, even here talking about quarters is, in the West Ward, on this block, there's a triangle and there's bars at each tip of the triangle. So now we're working together. We call it the Beermuda Triangle. We just did a parade, a Mardi Gras parade together. We just did a roper romp together with another bar in the West Ward. So it's like, how can we all work together to build each other up versus saying, oh, I don't want them to do well because it's going to take for me. Because I don't think that's the case. There's enough out there for everybody if we work together and want to see each other succeed. So
yeah, it's awesome. I have an unbelievable amount of respect for you, as you know, and so yeah,
thank you.
Full circle, like, subscribe. Christine Piper, Porter's Pub, really, really, really cool spot. If you're in the Pennsylvania tri-state, Maverick Media, if you need
great resource.
Yep,
And,
huge.
Thank you for hosting us today. And
Cheers.
Cheers, you guys.
And
Thank
cheers
you.
to everybody. We're gonna be unfiltered founders, so fucking get used to it.